Everyone. It is 11:53 Mountain Time on April 27th, 2023, and I don't know where you're at, but the snow has finally melted. It did snow like a week ago down here in southeast Idaho, and I thought, oh my goodness, we got to be grateful, right? We got to be grateful for the moisture, but I'm okay with a little bit of rain. So, with that, welcome. We'll wait a couple seconds here for a few folks to jump on. Be sure to share this video, give it a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Let us know where you are watching at from the state of Idaho or wherever you are as an ISA supporter. Another state has now banned what they call assault weapons, which is the stupidest term, and I don't really want to get into it, but scary weapons, right? I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. Weapons that they know nothing about, don't know how to shoot, have never shot, and they have deemed them scary, and we got to ban them. So that has now happened in the state of Washington, which has been an ongoing issue for a long time. I mean, at least a decade now that the state of Washington has really been under attack from the gun control crowd. And over the last 10 years, we've had a ton of people from Washington moving here to Idaho. They've passed red flag laws. They've passed most of the really bad laws that you don't ever want to see passed in your state. So it's interesting because we've seen, I started talking about this in 2014, I think. There's a documentary that is called The Rocky Mountain Heist. You can probably Google it and watch it for free. It's got Michelle Malkin and a whole bunch of people from Colorado, the Colorado state representatives, that showed how the state of Colorado was destroyed. And it took about 10 years, and the Colorado had a Republican governor, 2 Republican U.S. senators. Most of the congressmen, I think, were Republican, and both state house chambers were controlled by Republicans. And in 10 years, 4 very wealthy liberals helped the Democrats completely wipe the Republican Party out and took over the state. Now it's just a complete dump. I love Colorado. It's from the mountains, and it's a very beautiful area, just like a lot like Idaho and anywhere in the Rocky Mountain states, very similar. And I started warning then. I'm like, we gotta do something different, right? We cannot go down the same path. And what you saw prior to Colorado was California used to be a much redder state than it is now. It's a deep blue state now. California fell, okay? And then it seems like it just kind of went up into the Portland area, and then the Portland folks ended up going up into the Seattle area. And not that Seattle's ever really been red necessarily, but these liberals are like a progressive disease, right? And they just infect one area, and then they move to the next one, and then they destroy it, and then they move on to the next host and destroy that. And that's what they've done to Boise. Boise, in my opinion, is gone. Like, I don't think that there's enough people living there because a lot of the same people have left and got out of the city and moved out to Canyon County, or they're moving up north, or they're moving down south, further south into southeast Idaho. They are just trying to get out of these cities. And so Boise, I believe, has fallen. It is not coming back. And so, we're seeing the very beginnings of what has happened in Colorado and Virginia and Oregon and Washington. My wife and I lived in Washington for a couple years, and it was amazing how many people were like, yeah, we're getting out of here, we're going to Idaho. We're getting out of here, we're going to Texas or to Wyoming or wherever. I don't know that there's a safe state to move to at this point that is not being infected with this liberal disease. Okay, every state is experiencing, Montana and Wyoming and us, obviously, all experiencing these liberals who are coming into our state or are here already as natives that are like, hey, well, if they can do it in Colorado, there's actually a book called, I think, The Blueprint. if I remember correctly. It's been a while. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but it's called the Blueprint, and they call it the Colorado model, or whatever you want to call it. And what they did in Colorado, they are now trying to mimic in our state and other red states. So it's extremely effective, and my goal has always been to expose that. Now, obviously, with the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, we focus always primarily on guns. And that's our big focus, is ensuring that the Second Amendment is protected here as much as possible. That's why when we don't have a lot of time to keep doing this. We've won some great battles on the gun front and other fronts. But we really don't have a lot of time. And unless you shore up everything now, it's going to be impossible later on when all of these Republicans who are in the state house that aren't really Republicans, they just put an R next to their name. When they feel that the populace has shifted, guess what? They're going to flip parties right away. They won't care. And Idaho turns purple and then eventually blue, right? That's their goal. That's their objective. Right now, they can't do it that way. So they have to run as Republicans, even if it's a big flaming liberal. You look at Jeff Schroeder in District 8. Okay. The guy is a pro-abortion atheist, and I'm not saying there aren't. I understand there are atheists who are conservatives. I think that's a fairly small percentage. But this guy, anti-Second Amendment, anti-life, anti-God. I mean, he proudly talks about his atheism, like he has a license plate or did, talking about it. And all that to say that this is not your typical conservative that is coming in, the constitutional conservative that believes in limited government, believes in the values that we have here in the state. He just puts an R next to his name and is like, screw it, I don't care. And he ran. We found a video of him basically telling people, he said at this rally, it was an atheist rally or something or the other, and he goes, how many here are Republicans? And not one single person responded in the affirmative. Okay, the guy is not a Republican if you are a Republican and you believe in the Republican platform. So people like Jeff Schroeder, the state senator from District 8, it's his first term. He gets in because he distracts people with Constitution, conservative, and values, and I mean, they just say all the things that you expect them to say on the campaign trail, and then they don't care, right? They get elected, and then they hope that you don't pay attention. They don't care. That's how your state falls. Okay, your state falls by letting them change the rules, change the game. And so my goal with the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, and I also run Keep Idaho Free, my goal is to stop all of that, right? I want to prevent Idaho from a similar fate that so many other states have fallen into. And so I hope that you guys will join me in watching that stuff and helping fight back against it, because it takes a lot of work. It takes all of us paying attention and fighting back and doing things that are out of the ordinary. So, like for instance, if you were a Republican, and if I were going to change the rules of the Republican Party, I would make it so that there's no longer a primary and you move to a caucus system. Okay, under a caucus system, all the precinct committeemen and all the people within the party actually go and choose who is going to represent the party on the ballot in November. To me, the Republicans, the Democrats, Constitution Party, Libertarians, they're all private organizations that really shouldn't be, in my opinion, a statewide thing that's funded by taxpayers. I think the party should run it, and I think that if you were going to get the most conservative candidates, you would go to a caucus system. Under the primary system, all these Democrats now, they just put that they're Republican. They don't care anymore. So the Republicans have a problem with Democrats voting in their primary, number one, and number two, running as Republicans. Okay? Guess what? If you had a system where the real Republicans were the precinct committeemen, all that kind of stuff, and there's huge internal debates about who's going to represent the party in November, guess what? You can vet that stuff out really easy, and none of those people will ever make it through to the ballot in November. Not one. Because it's a lot easier to vet that stuff out there than letting these Democrats go out and run on the campaign trail as Republicans, and there's nothing you can do about it. And they just put conservative, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment on their campaign material, and everybody buys into it. So I'm saying, if you want to keep Idaho from going from a similar fate that all these other states have done, we have to do things much, much differently. You've got to make radical changes to what you're doing. No, I said radical. You've got to make radical changes to what you're doing, and just put your foot on, metaphor people, put your foot on the throats of these liberals. If Idaho ever turns blue, do you think they're going to care one lick about what a Republican or a conservative thinks? No, they don't care. Look at California and all these other blue states. They don't care. They will ram their liberal agenda down our throats. But yet, this is a state controlled 80% by Republicans. Why isn't this flipped in the other direction? Why aren't we passing 10 pro-Second Amendment bills every freaking legislative session? Put me out of a job. I really don't care. Like, I'd be happy to go back and and live a life with far less stress, far less death threats, and attacks, all that kind of stuff on me and my family. Like, I could do without all of that. Trust me, I'd be totally happy and fine. Pass all the pro-life bills that you can every single session. Just pass a bunch of them. Just make them want to leave our state. Okay, that's my opinion. Maybe you guys all differ from how I view this, but to me, we need to be fighting tooth and nail and just blasting a conservative agenda all over the state, and as tough as possible. Now, we don't have a governor that will do that. Okay, Ron DeSantis Brad Little is no Ron DeSantis. Okay, Brad Little may sign a conservative bill, but you never see the guy out there actually promoting going after the liberal agenda. He doesn't do that at all because he doesn't care. He honestly doesn't believe it's a threat. Most of these milquetoast Republicans don't believe that Idaho is under attack. They don't believe that Idaho can fall. Okay, apathy. If you talk to the people from California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado that have moved here, they'll tell you, we didn't see it coming. We didn't think it was possible here, or we just, we didn't really pay attention until it was too late. Most of them will tell you that's exactly what happened in their states. That's why I really actually love a lot of these out-of-state folks that move here that are ready to fight because they've been through it. They know what it's like. A lot of the times what we have problems with is our Idaho natives who are used to living here and think that everything's fine, right? All is well in Zion, and so they just don't care. That's a big problem. So anyway, with all that being said, we wish our friends in Washington all the best and hope that they can fight back against Jay Inslee, who's just an awful governor. Their attorney general there is a total piece of trash too. So we wish them the best. If you do move to Idaho, join up with ISA, join ISA.com, become a member. We'd love to have you here in the fight because we need to prevent Idaho from a similar fate that you have just experienced. So with that, take care. God bless.